Hello everybody, we are back and we are working on our structured chair, and I've got my profile here, and then I've got some of these things that are more maybe connectors and pieces that go widthwise to um, act as seating and structure as well. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just delete all these surfaces because I'm going to focus a little bit more on these lines. But those were there to just give you an idea of what the overall chair might look like. And I'm going to go into not my top view, sorry, my front view, so I can look at this as a profile shape. And what I am going to look at specifically is the thickness of my material now, right? Again, we're looking back at our one chair as reference. Not this dude sitting here in the space. There we go. This is our reference. So we need to know how thick the material is so we can start actually cutting our slots and things like that. Okay, think about it, computer. Don't think too hard. I don't want you to crash on me. Today is not the day. All right, so we are back. So what I can do is, one method is I can actually offset this surface, right? So I can offset this a thickness. Now I actually have two thicknesses of material. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add in a layer that says material. Material. And I'm going to make a sublayer. Create new sublayer. And this sublayer is going to be the thinner sheet that we have. So it's 0.26 inches thick, and then it's going to be 48 inches wide and 40 inches long. And the next one we have is actually thicker. It's 0.56 by 39 by 75. All right, so we've got two different thicknesses right there. And I made these right now just as a note to myself of how thick these are. The way I think I'm going to approach this is my profile pieces are going to be the thicker pieces because there's going to be more weight on them. So I'm going to make sure that those are going to be somewhat thicker. And then these pieces, these connectors that are going to make up profile, sort of more width of the piece and more of the seating, is going to be the thinner stuff. So I'm going to start off by just doing an offset. And I'm going to do the 0.26 inches. Now my corners, I'm actually going to make those rounded. I'm going to make them rounded. And the reason is because, one, my CNC machining bit is going to be curved when it comes in and cuts this out. So I want to make sure that that is going to be a curved end right there. And also to ensure that it's going to fit in properly. I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to do this one. And so that's it rounded. Now I'm going to undo that, do the same thing. And I'm going to do sharp, although I don't know why it's not going back. All right, weird. Why are you being weird, computer? Oh, cap is flat. Corner is sharp. All right, so let's just look at this as an example. And my router bit that I'm using is 0.125, or why don't we say 0.25? This is the diameter. And if it's coming in and cutting this out, it's going to stop here and move back. It can't get to those corners. So what I'm going to do is when I offset this, I'm going to make that cap round, and it's going to add that little extra curve there so that router bit could cut properly into the same length. So I'll have a little extra, but that's okay. So I'm going to go around and do this for all these major options. And you notice I'm actually selecting the outside. Actually, you know what I want to do is I also want to make the corners, these outside exterior corners around. All right, so I'm going to come back and do this. Now I could do the inside, and the inside I would need to route out a slot or a space. So why don't we do that one as an example? Let's do this one and this one. And then we will do this one on the outside. Now this is a bit of a problem right here. We can't really have them overlapping. What I'll need to do is actually come in and edit that. I'll turn my control points on, and I'm going to select these, and I'm just going to move them over from this end here, or this point, to this point here. That way they're really butted up against each other, right? So that's looking pretty good. Cool. And this is going to need to be offset. I think I'm actually going to shrink it ever so slightly. That way it's not right here in the middle here. That, or I keep it the same and I'll just add a slot in. Why don't we do that? We'll leave it this and we'll go with something more of like a slotted method. But I'm still going to offset it. Oops, no. I'm going to offset you. And you don't, this one doesn't necessarily need to be rounded. It can be flat. And I'm going to select this edge, this depth right here. All right, so one thing that I'm thinking at is why don't we make this and see where it goes from here, okay? Now for my profile, I'm going to edit the profile chair. I'm actually going to copy this to the base geometry just to save it, just put it in a different layer. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a curve boolean because I'm going to get the interior curve boolean of this. So this guy, and you see how that is a very nice and easy way to automatically grab that geometry or extrapolate where those slots would be in those curves and things like that. So that's looking great. I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to change the color of that to maybe a white or gray. Mercury? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Mercury. And, oh, where did it go? This one, I thought I moved objects to this layer. I thought I got rid of that. Maybe I just copied it. Either way, this is what we're looking at, and that's looking great. And what I can do now is I'm just going to make some of these solids. I'm going to make a new solid layer, call it solids, and work in this layer and come into my perspective view, and I can come up to make this a solid. I'm going to come up to solid, extrude planar curve straights, and that's going to be my thicker one, so I'm going to extrude at 0.56. And then this can be whatever I'd like it to be. I'm going to extrude it. Let's see, what is our ergonomic handbook say about depth? So seat height, sitting eye height, waist depth. C. Oh, that's a weird number. Thickness, seat length, and depth. All right, so G is supposed to go the other way as well, into the page here. And so we're looking at maybe another 18 inches. So let's do that. Let's expand our Rhino again, and we're going to go back to solid, extrude planar curve straight. And I'm going to do 18. And I'm going to do 18 for all of these other pieces as well. Actually, I could probably just select all of them at once. Now, I'm not going to have this directly on the edge there. I'm going to have it in a little bit. But, you know, for right now, I'm just going to actually just kind of leave it, and I'm going to move these out. And I'm going to move them out, let's say like half an inch. So I'm just going to type in move. And I'm going to say from 0 and 0.5. And you can see here I've got it. That's my starting point, is at the coordinate system, and I can move it 0.5 inches. So I'm just going to move it out so that they are perpendicular from this surface. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to mirror this because it should be the same. Excuse me. I'm going to mirror it halfway from like this edge here, from this midpoint. So I'm going to type in mirror and turn my midpoint snap on right here. Perfect. And I'm just going to hold shift down. It's going to copy. Beautiful. And so I've got this, which is looking pretty cute. Pretty cute. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a concern is we only have structure going in essentially two directions. We have this one that's going on this coordinate plane, the xz coordinate plane on this plane. We have these going into the y direction. But we don't have any support connecting these. The only support we have is here to kind of give it a little extra structure. You see how this comes down and over, and it gives it a little rigidity to it. But this doesn't have any of that support. Does this make sense? It needs some sort of connection going here into this plane, into the the YZ plane, looking head on. So let's look at the right view. Come on now, computer. So what we might want to do is, this is our seat, is maybe we make a connector from here up to here and here, right? And maybe another one down here to maybe give that shelf some support. I'm going to go back to my perspective view, look at this, and what we can do is I'm going to hide these solids and go back to my width pieces because it's just a little easier to visualize. And in front view, I'm going to say, all right, we should probably put some sort of structure right here. And I'm going to kind of snap, maybe, oh, come on now. Midpoint is on, that's good. Computer is thinking. I'm going to snap to the midpoint here on this red line and just have it come all the way up. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to come all the way up. Come on, computer, you can, nope, you can't do it. Not sure what the situation is with my computer today, but we'll try that again. All right, line. We'll turn near snap off, and we'll, oh, come on, computer, what are you doing? Well, sorry, this is taking a little longer. There we go. Line will come all the way up. And I'm just making a long line that I can move down and maybe kind of cut it up from there. So grab this line. Oh my goodness. Okay. Computer, thank you. just going to rest it right there, sort of in that spot. And I'm going to offset it, and I'm going to use the thinner sheet, probably the 0.26 here. And what I want this to be is it's going to be extruded so that it kind of gives it a little more structure and a little more stability. So in the next video, what I'm going to go over is talking about how we can extrude these and connect these and make some strong connections. These surfaces are actually probably pretty good to go. Let me go back and look at the solids. And I'll go into perspective view. And we can see that, that's going to be pretty good, but we're going to need to kind of think about these connections a little more. And we'll talk about that in our next video. So see you soon.